Do you care about the problems?
Hi everyone, Brandy Yvette here with Just Swallow the Pill. Welcome back. I hope everyone had such a wonderful week. I know I did. And before we jump into today's episode, I would like to just remind you guys, starting in April, I'm going to be answering your how-tos and what did you do questions. I know a lot of people have questions about my process and what did I do in certain situations, or what would I have done in a certain situation. So if you have a question for me and you would like to hear me answer it here on Just Swallow the Pill, email me at thedifficultpill@gmail.com and listen up for your answer, your question and your answer. Now, jumping right into today's episode, I want to give you just a brief recap of what happened last week. So last week I was telling you guys about how I prayed for a peaceful departure, and I pretty much got it. All of my dates lined up perfectly for me to be able to leave without my ex-husband being home. As a matter of fact, because of the treatment that he was giving me, I personally did not feel that he deserved to even know what my plans were. So I left without him knowing. And so when he came home from his TDY in Utah that Friday, I was gone. He came home to an empty apartment. I left him only his things, and I took only my things. And it just so happened I had just moved out that Friday morning, and my mom and sister had come to town to kind of help me get settled in Phoenix, and he had come home that evening. And I knew he was home because, of course, my phone blew up. But I did not answer. I refused to answer. And I just wanted to start to get into my new normal of being a single woman. Now, during this time, the first week or so, I really started to reflect on the entire 2.5 years. And with me doing so, I found, or I should say, I realized something very disturbing. And so I'm going to go over those with you. Okay. So first things first, I went all the way back to when we first got married. Actually, I went further. I went back further when he first asked me to marry him. And I remember him, like, again, stressing how much of a benefit it would have been for both him and I. And how I was telling him that I didn't want to get married for benefits. I had benefits. I had a great job. And how he came back like a day or two later and pretty much regurgitated everything that I said that I wanted from a marriage and a husband. And he pretty much just told me what I said. And so I thought about that. And then I thought about, after we got married, he started to reveal his financial goals. And he started to reveal that he wanted this, he wanted to get out of debt. So he wanted to be debt free. He also told me how he wanted this $5,000 mattress. And he also revealed that he wanted a dog. And he also told me that he wanted a new car. He wanted a Camaro. And so I started to think about all of that. And then I started to think about the timeline. I also thought what was very interesting, how when he cheated and contracted gonorrhea, and if you missed those episodes, you got to go back and watch. But because I do talk about that in the beginning. But for those who have already seen it and you already know what happened, so I started to really think about, you know, how he begged me to be with him. Like, he begged me not to get a divorce because I wanted to get the marriage annulled. And he begged me, you know, to not annul the marriage. He begged me to give him another chance. And I thought about the pay increase that he received for not only being married to me, but for being separated from me and for being overseas. His pay almost tripled. And, you know, he was getting lots of money. He was getting paid. There were tons of financial benefits for him involved. I really thought about all those things. And then I thought about after he come back from Korea and when we actually moved in together, and how he got out of debt while he was in Korea. You know, he got out of debt. Then we bought the $5,000 mattress when we moved to Tucson. Okay. Then we get the dog. Okay. Then you get the car. And he got the car in January 2016. And what I thought was interesting is exactly 1 month after he gets the car, he tells me he doesn't want to be with me anymore. And then I also think about when we were getting counseled from our friends 2 days after he asked for the divorce. And I thought about how he literally was just like, I don't want her no more. And I didn't really put any effort into this. And I really don't want it. And I never really wanted it. And all of that just came rushing to the forefront of my mind. And I realized that I had literally been used. Yeah. I had been used. And so for me, the entire 2.5 years was a lie. And coming to terms with that was very difficult, because not only am I dealing with the fact that I've been verbally abused, I've been emotionally abused. I mean, we're talking about someone that told me that my laugh was fucking stupid. We're talking about somebody that told me at dinner that I was not sexy and I'd never be his idea of sexy. And so we're talking about someone who literally just married me for financial gain. And so I'm dealing with the emotional aspect of the fact that I've been abused and really still didn't even realize it. All I know is I feel worthless. I feel like trash. I feel like I don't want to live anymore. But then adding these other variables, this fool married me so he can reach these goals, so he can gain these material possessions. And that made me feel even worse. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I wasn't good enough. And I felt like I was only as good as the last material possession that he purchased. And it's so funny because I wound up getting a raise at work. And because I got a raise at work, I offered to take care of some of the utilities. And with me taking care of the utilities, I said, babe, you know, you've been supporting me all year, and I've been in school, and you've been paying all the bills. Look, I got a raise. Let me go ahead and take care of some of these bills. You go buy your car. And so here I am thinking that I am being a good wife. I think that I'm just doing what a wife is supposed to do. And I literally just rushed you into your last material possession. And so there was a lot of what ifs. What if I would have never did that? What if, you know, would we have still been married? Would he have waited a little bit longer? The state of confusion that I was in at the time was remarkable. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I had married. I didn't know what had just happened. I'm still shocked that the fact, you know, that I'm getting a divorce. Things were very dark, to say the least, for me. And I did not know how I was going to move forward. I had no clue. And the only thing that I feel like kept me sane was my relationship with God. And again, I'm not religious. I'm not even gonna lie about it. But I stand in that. I believe my relationship with God carried me through. Because when I had got out of the situation in my own space, in my own essence, out of the situation, I looked back and I realized that it all had went by so fast and it all was such a blur. And I literally felt like God carried me through that. Because even to this day, I don't know how I got through without hurting somebody, myself, him. You know, and a lot of people do ask me why, like, you did not retaliate, like you didn't do anything, like you were so forgiving, like, and I really firmly believed that there was nothing that I could do that there was nothing that I could fathom that God wouldn't take care of. And what I mean by that is God would handle that in ways that I could not even fathom. And at the time, I was very firm in not getting in the way. And I knew if I had done things to retaliate, I was essentially getting in the way. And, you know, I really feel like if it was not for God, if it was not for me being obedient, I really don't know where I would be today, and I don't know how things would have turned out. And so for weeks, I literally felt like I was existing. I didn't know who I was. I had completely lost myself in this marriage. I lost myself in this man. And so being on my own, it was really unpleasant. It was an unpleasant feeling. But I knew I was being isolated. I knew that it was a purpose. I knew that I had to walk the walk alone, per se. I knew no one could help me. This was a journey that I had to embark on by myself. And I wasn't ready. At this point, I was still crying every day. And things just, it was my new normal, but it didn't feel normal. It didn't feel right. Life didn't feel right. And I was hurting so bad. I just wanted the pain to stop. And so I still was thinking about killing myself. I still suffer with depression. I didn't want to get out the bed every day. I didn't want to shower. I didn't want to clean up. I didn't want to cook. I didn't want to eat. I survived off of water. I lost 30 pounds in those 2 months. I lost 30 pounds. And so, even though all of those things was going on, I knew that I couldn't give up. Something would not allow me to give up. And we are going to stop right there. And we're going to pick up next week with something a little bit lighter. We're going to pick up with me trying to date after me being out on my own. And that was interesting, to say the least. So with that said, don't forget to like, comment, and share Just Swallow the Pill. Also, again, email me at thedifficultpill@gmail.com if you have your how-to questions or what did you do questions, or even if you want to share your story with me. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week.